The other type of sedimentary rocks are called chemical sedimentary rocks. And these chemical sedimentary rocks are not made up of broken pieces of other rocks, but they essentially precipitate typically out of oceanic water. So one way to think about this is if you took, for example, salt and you mixed it into a pan of water, and then you put that pan on a radiator so that all the water evaporated out of it, you would be left with a crust of salt once again. And that salt would be a chemical sedimentary rock that has precipitated out of that water. However, chemical sedimentary rocks can also be built by organisms. Coral reefs is a good example, but any animal that makes a shell, those shells are made out of calcium carbonate or calcite, and they're also a big component of chemical sedimentary rocks. This would be an example of limestone here. This is a specific type of limestone called chalk. And this chalk is made up of tiny microorganism shells that are all kind of cemented together into this rock that we call chalk. This is another piece of limestone over here, and one of the tests for limestone is that you can put hydrochloric acid on it, which will cause a chemical reaction. Limestone is made up of a mineral called calcite, which is CaCO3, so it has calcium in it, it has carbon in it, and it has oxygen in it. When it reacts with hydrochloric acid, which is HCl, it creates carbon dioxide gas, just like in seltzer, and that's what gives it that fizz. But for this one, we'll call this, these are just two examples of limestone. And one example of this where you can find this in nature, these are the White Cliffs of Dover in England. And these cliffs here are made up of chalk. And this chalk is all tiny little microorganisms that died and settled to the bottom of the ocean over time. And now this land here has been uplifted, and we can see there's tens of feet of chalk cliffs in this area here. So this would be chalk, CHALK, or the White Cliffs of Dover, DOVER. And of course, as these different layers are laid down, not just the chemical rocks, but the clastic sedimentary rocks as well, they're kind of laid into these horizontal layers. Although the beach might not look very horizontal, it's more horizontal than not, and over time these things just accumulate in layer after layer. We can see a lot of layers of sandstone through here, some layers of limestone. They tend to form more resistant rocks, although the limestone depends on where you are. If you're in an environment that's dry and doesn't get much rainfall, the limestone sticks out. But if you're in an area that's more humid and does get a lot of rainfall, the limestone can actually get dissolved away by the rain that falls there. And at the top here we can see some layers of shale, which tend to get eroded away very easily.